Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Jan and I'm back with some more vibes for you. Yes, I. And this one is called Why Are China and India So Populated? You know, a question I ask myself, you know what I mean? Is it cultural? Is it economical? Is it political? Why is China and India so populated? Or it's just that people just like having babies. I don't know. So this here is more than likely going to explain to us what the vibe is with that. But before I go into that, before we get into the video, some people have told me that they're not getting notified that that I'm putting up videos. So go ahead and hit the notification button on there. Even if you're subscribed and you haven't hit the notification button, you will not be notified whenever I upload videos. So please go ahead and notify. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and subscribe. Drop likes on the video for a bridge with the thing, you know what I mean? The more the merrier for me. I like to have a lot of people watch these videos with me. So go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you get notified when I upload videos. And you know, like, dislike the video, do your thing, you know what I mean? And also keep commenting. Please keep dropping those suggestions in the comments for me to watch, you know what I mean? Things that you think may explain a historical event better, anything at all like that, hit me up. And also hit me up on scary things, you know, like mythical beliefs and things like that. But okay, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer.
This area contains 36% of the world's population, a total of 2.6 billion people. But these are only two countries and only make up 8.2% of the land on Earth. 2 out of every 5 people alive today are living in one of these countries. How did China and
Wow.
India end up with so many people? First, we'll take a look at their geographic location. For a society to maintain large populations, they need access to water, good soil, and comfortable climate. If you take a look at the world's major rivers, you can see that 10 are in a freezing environment, 5 are in a rainforest environment, which is not great for agriculture, and 4 were isolated from humanity, leaving 7 rivers that would allow for major civilizations to develop. 4 of these are in India and China. It is around these 7 rivers that the first civilizations start to spring up. India has a Gangetic Plain, a 255 million hectare area that is one of the most fertile places on Earth. The Indus Valley is also an excellent agricultural zone that acted as a cradle for one of the world's first major civilizations. China has the Sichuan Basin, fed by the Yangtze River, the third largest on Earth, and the North China Plains, fed by the Yellow River, the sixth largest on Earth. Both of these areas are able to produce an abundant amount of food for the Chinese. Today they have some of the world's highest population density. These plains provided both civilizations with water and silk for agriculture, as well as rivers and trade for commerce. China alone has 50,000 rivers that are usable for agriculture. Compared to other early civilizations, China and India have a massive advantage. Egypt, outside the Nile, was too dry and hot. Civilizations in Iraq suffered the same. Iran, being another ancient state, did not have access to a major river and so couldn't grow at the same rate. Unlike Egypt, China and India can rely on more than one river.
So, the one thing that I forgot is geography, which would make sense, you know, because man sort of, how should I put it, congregate towards where the natural necessities are needed, like water and stuff like that. Because when you have rivers, you could do trade, you know, with other places and thing, you know what I mean? And quite possibly a lot of, well, I guess, yeah, you know, because if your country's got minerals and stuff like that, you could get it down to the rivers and have the river, you know, through the river transport, have it spread out to the region, and if not, spread out to the world from there. But, you know, geography, I didn't think of that one.
The Mississippi River civilization was unfortunately isolated from most of humanity and arrived at a much later date than both the Chinese and the Indians. The whole genocide thing didn't help Native American numbers either. Most of the world is not suited for dense settlement. Africa, Arabia, the Amazons, most of Canada, Alaska, Central Africa, Siberia, and the Sahara Desert are all harsh to human life, while Mexico, Central Asia, and Australia do not have enough inland water to support large-scale agriculture. China and India are also located within the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. which when you look at a map seems to be the best area for human settlement. 20% of the world's arable land is within the borders of China and India. They are in the top 4 countries by arable land available. The US has huge amount of land, but unfortunately disease and conquest destroyed its native population. It is still the 3rd most populous nation in spite of that, and most of Russia's land is too cold to support agriculture, leaving China and India as the countries with the best agricultural lands. India is 50% arable land compared to countries like Australia, Brazil and Russia, which are all below 10%. Because of this, India and China produce 50% of the world's rice and 30% of the world's wheat. Both of these regions were gifted with rice as a staple crop. If you want to sustain massive population growth, rice is the crop you would choose to do it. It provides more calories than any other crop field of the same size. Even today, it accounts for 1/5 of the world's calories. Rice is also labor intensive and requires large families to harvest, which encourages people to have more and more children. Areas of the world that produce rice have some of the highest population density. Europe, by contrast, did not have a staple crop as good as rice until the potato arrived from the Americas in the 1500s. After that crop arrived, the population in Europe soared. Well, until China and India also
See,
had
that's
excellent
interesting
natural
there.
defenses that helped them defend from outside invasions and reduced warfare in the region. The Himalayas protect India from the north, the Thar Desert and Indus River in the west, and jungles to the east. Any enemy coming in from the south would have to do so by
See, that's interesting there. So no wonder why rice is such a big thing uh, around the world. Rice is popular in foods back in the Caribbean. Man, we have a rice porridge, rice and peas, rice cakes, rice, all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? It's funny though because where I live here right now in the U.S., I live in West Virginia. It's up in a mountainous region. Of course, there's a body of water like 2 blocks down here, the Ohio River. But people don't like rice up here. They don't eat rice very much here. But I cook rice a lot. Well, rice with everything.
ship. China has Siberia to the north, the Gobi Desert to the west, and the Tibetan Plateau to the south, and the Pacific Guards to the east. These natural borders may not have stopped all invasions from outsiders, but they did make it difficult. Finally, they have access to the Middle East and Europe. This allowed for trade like the Silk Road to bring in wealth and the exchange of ideas that civilizations in Oceania, Americas, and Sub-Saharan Africa would have missed out on. China and India were both some of the first agricultural societies. They had a massive head start. They began to farm around 8 to 9000 BC. Their populations grew fast due to favourable conditions. The Indus Valley civilization in India grew rich off trade with Mesopotamia, and the population boomed due to abundant resources. China was constructing massive irrigation projects and canals to increase crop yields, while most of the world still relied on rainwater to hydrate their crops. Both China and India are prone to flooding, and to combat this, large-scale hydraulic projects were necessary. The organisation needed to pull off these massive projects to strengthen cultural ties within the countries. Both of these nations united under a single ruler early on, India by Ashoka in 250 BC and China later on in 200 BC by the Qin dynasty. This unity helped form the massive countries they are today, rather than the many smaller states that we would see in Europe. The populations of India and China continued to grow while Europe was set back by plagues. The plague of Justinian killed 50% of the population in the 6th century AD, and again in the 14th century the Black Death killed up to 50 million of Europe's suspected 80 million population. The Mongols as well wiped out 90% of the Iranian population and ravaged the rest of the Middle East and Asia. Both affected China, but it managed to recover faster, while India escaped the wrath of the Khans. Unfortunately for the Native Americans, European conquest and disease would wipe out 90% of them. By the 17th century, the population of China was 150 million and India 100 million. In most of history, both of these nations have made up 60% of the world's population. India was the largest economy in the world in the ancient and medieval periods, containing up to a third of the world's wealth. The Industrial Revolution took hold in Europe first, and their populations soared. Between 1700 and 1900, Europe's populations grew from 100 million to 400 million. Medicine increased lifespan and decreased child deaths. The population of Britain increased from 10 million to 40 million in the 19th century. The United States saw its population grow from around 5.3 million in 1800 to 106 million in 1920. After modernization, birth rates fell and their population stabilized. Yet populations in Asia continued to grow as they industrialized later. When they finally did begin to industrialize, the populations in the already fertile regions began to skyrocket. China's population rose from approximately 430 million in 1850 to 580 million in 1953.
Wow.
Now it stands at over 1.3 billion. The population of the Indian subcontinent, which was around 125 million in 1750, increased to 389 million in 1941. Today, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh are home to 1.6 billion people. During the 20th century, the Chinese leader Mao encouraged his people to have as many children as possible. This led to massive population growth up until 1978, when after Mao had died, the Chinese implemented the one-child policy. Indian culture has always included large families, and this tradition continued into the modern day, and after a forced sterilization campaign in the 1970s, some Indians are suspicious of family planning incentives. Some parts of the nation, though, do have birth rates on par with European nations now. Today, both China and India have populations higher than every other continent bar the one they are in. So that's it. The strategic locations of China and India, as well as the unique historical situations, set them up to be the most populated nations on Earth. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Well, that was interesting. So, geography plays a major part in it. Like, the agricultural potency, for lack of the better word, of the area. You know what I'm saying? So, that's interesting. See, some people might blame it on political. Of course, Mao says, have a whole lot of babies and thing. And, I remember, and of course that they were considered communists then, which is an interesting idea, because I remember when we had a revolution, one of the things they were saying is have babies, have more babies, have more babies. There was an explosion of young people having babies during the revolution back home, which of course they didn't complain because they're doing the deed. But that's interesting. So it could be political too, like Mao made political, but in actuality, it's geography. That's the main thing that caused the explosion. You know what I mean? And then, of course, people start being comfortable and having, more. I could afford to have more kids, so they have more kids. And of course, India have a history of large families, so they were just continuing with the traditions, I guess. That was interesting, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I do. I always wondered, and I always thought it was political. I'll be honest. I always thought the explosion of the populations there was political, but no, we know it's more natural than that. Anyway, man, thank you all for listening to me. Thank you all for watching this with me. You understand what I'm saying? Thing, and I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are. Take care of each other. Cool runnings, alright?